So our presentation, as you can see, attitude reconstruction, gracefully dealing with emotions and negative thoughts. Our presenter today is Jude Bijou. Jude is the daughter of pioneer child behavioral psychologist Sidney Bijou. And she learned an BA from Reed College in Portland, Oregon, and an MA in psychology from Carleton University in Ottawa, Canada. She is a licensed marriage and family therapist in private practice, a consultant, and a speaker residing in Santa Barbara, California, and has been in private practice serving individuals and couples for more than 30 years. Her approach blends Western innovation and Vedic philosophy, and hopefully we'll get an explanation of what that is, for those of us that don't know, from India to transform emotions and with doable tools of empowerment. Jude is a teacher of communication through Santa Barbara City College Adult Ed and conducts in-depth workshops and lectures. She's also the author of the multi-gold award-winning book, Attitude Reconstruction, A Blueprint for Building a Better Life, which I think is available after the presentation if you'd like to purchase it. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Jude Bijou.
Thanks, Craig. Well, it is just my honor to be speaking with you today, and it fulfills an ancient dream of mine to present my work to my colleagues. So today I'm going to talk about how to deal with emotions and how to combat our negative thoughts. And if you work here in the hospital, you're in a place where there's a lot of emotions, right? Patients have emotions. The visitors, the loved ones, have emotions. You have emotions as you witness them and as you deal with your own job. And if you don't work at the hospital, if you work for an agency, or if you have a private practice, or if you're an administrative support person, you also have so many responsibilities and so much pressure. Again, there's so many emotions, both as you serve the people you serve and as you deal with your coworkers and your job description. So, well, and then we also have emotions just because we're human beings, right? And the problem is that we didn't get much training, much good training, about how to handle those emotions. Did anybody get that in school? And it's just not something that was talked about. And for me, I was interested in psychology, and in the whole psychology textbook, like 36 chapters, the worst chapter was the one on emotions. It's like that's the one everybody wanted to read, you know, personality and things like that. And there just was no good information. And that was one of the things I think that impelled me to figure out how things go together. That, and as Craig was saying, I had this gene that I got from my father, this behavioral kind of approach to try to figure out how things work. So it's my hope that you're going to learn some things, I know you will, about emotions, that you can use both on yourself and with those that you work with. So you'll see that it's a unique approach that has been culled by listening to a lot of clients, being involved, teaching, and so on, and then my own personal work. The pieces just had to come together of why we behave the way we do. So I'm going to do talking because that's what I do, but I also have learned through the years that we learn best by experience. So I'm going to ask you to help me out and participate as we go along there. But first, while you eat your lunch, I'm going to give you just a little bit of background. And that is, let's see, there we are. So what I have discovered is that we only have 6 emotions: sadness, anger, and fear, and joy, love, and peace, and that they actually exist in opposites. So we have to start by saying, okay, well, what is an emotion? I believe, as I said, there are only 6 emotions, and that they're pure energy in the body. It's a physical sensation Each feels distinctly different, each of the 6 emotions. But there's no words there. It's just a feeling, a pure feeling inside of ourselves. And if we think about it, each one feels different, okay? Because did I mention that these emotions are in opposite pairs? Again, this is something that I've learned from my years of meditation, was that really things in the material world do exist in pairs of opposites. And that's what I found as I tried to get the pieces to come together. But when we feel the emotion of sadness, what do we feel in our body? We feel that down, that heaviness. That feels very different than joy, which is up and light and exuberant. Those are opposites. And with anger, when we feel that anger energy in our body gets hot and we want to strike out. We want to kill. We want to explode. That's where the energy is like inside of ourselves. And the opposite of that is we feel warm. We feel our heart is open and we are bringing things toward us. It's a softness. And with the last pair of emotions, when we feel fear, we feel cold, the body's cold, and we feel agitated. It's like that energy just is going like that. It manifests in a whole lot of different ways that we'll talk about. But that's fear, and the opposite piece is calm, peaceful, relaxed, alert, and just centered, tranquil. So we have 6 emotions. They just are energy, and they are, there's just these 6. Now, emotions are natural, right? By human living, we all experience emotions. When we have sadness, it is the natural reaction to hurts and losses, right? When somebody dies, when we get in an accident and lose something, we naturally feel sad. And the opposite, when we feel joy, we have achieved something, good news, creative expression. I see something beautiful, I go to the art museum or I hear music, and that beauty fills me with joy, the opposite of sadness. Now, with the emotions of anger and love, we feel angry when we experience or witness an injustice or a violation. If you go to the beach and somebody is beating a dog, you can't help but feel that emotion. Or if you are frustrated and you've worked with phone call after phone call after phone call trying to get something squared away and aren't getting any attention on it or getting the runaround, that can feel like a violation and an injustice, and it naturally evokes anger. And the opposite with love is that we feel love when we experience acts of kindness, really acts of giving, naturally evoke feelings of love. When we're caring, generosity, understanding, those evoke the feeling of love, the emotion of love. And fear, we naturally feel fear when our survival feels threatened, when the bear is chasing us, when the tax man is knocking on the door or whatever. We naturally feel fear. And the opposite, we naturally experience peace when we feel safe and content and secure. So the great news is we have this, all human beings have these 6 emotions, but what happened? When we were little kids, it was all right to express those. We had the emotional reaction, we had the little tantrum, whatever, and it passed. And we were back to our lovely, whole, present self, full of joy, love, and peace. But what happened as growing up, we got a lot of messages. We heard from our parents, from our peers, from the culture, girls aren't pretty when they're angry, right? Boys don't cry. Don't be a scaredy cat. Die before cry, for corporate women. Don't, whatever you do, last thing you do is cry. And don't wear your heart on the sleeve. We've got all of these messages, and I'm sure you know the ones that you heard in your family that really got us at a very early age to learn that it wasn't okay to feel what we were feeling in our body and express them. So we had to compensate because that wasn't going to fly. And what are we going to do instead? Again, we went and what are our parents doing? What do they do when they're angry, right? They're doing something there. You can tell the voice is raising and so on. But we might start being critical like they are, or negative, or mean, or whatever. We had to take that energy, and instead of just expressing it so that it'll pass, we started to hold it in. Those are the messages that we got. Now, there's some reasons. One is emotions can seem messy. They're out of control, and they plug our parents in, right? They didn't have time. They had all the kids. They had their work, and so on. And there just wasn't time to sort of hang with you as you had a temper tantrum, like you were too big to have a temper tantrum. It's like, we got to move it on. So we learned very young that we weren't going to be able to express those emotions. So here's another thing that I discovered as I was trying to fit these pieces of what goes where, is that not only do we have just 6 emotions, and that they're in these pairs, 3 pairs, but that our mind goes in particular direction depending on what emotions we're feeling. So when we're feeling sadness and joy, the focus is on ourself. You know, and it's like you see somebody who's down and depressed, they've got a lot of sadness, they're not thinking good thoughts about themselves, I guarantee you. Now, I'm a wimp, nobody will love me, I can't do anything about it. We have a lot of thoughts that aren't honoring of ourselves when we have a lot of sadness. And with joy, it's like they get in that 3-year-old kid, the 2-year-old kid, and you go, you're so wonderful, you're so beautiful. And they don't go, oh, no, I'm not, oh, no. They go, yeah, of course, I am wonderful, I am fine. It's like that's the natural state before we got all those messages that said, can't deal with the emotions, and, okay, I've got to figure out what am I going to do with them instead, and then we learn to compensate. And that's what I'm really going to talk about today, is those attitudes that we took on because we weren't able to deal with our emotions. But so for sadness, when we don't express our sadness, I'm not feeling good about myself. When anger and love, our focus isn't about ourselves so much, but it's about out there. Sometimes we're angry and we turn it on ourselves, but mostly that anger energy is outside of ourselves. I want to kill, destroy. It's your fault, right? If you would just do things my way, if I ran the world, there would just be a problem. There wouldn't be a problem. It's out there. That's where the energy goes. And the same with love. It's like I'm bringing the outside toward me. And that's very different. So here it's about myself. My head's going inward to think about myself. Here it's going outward. And for fear and peace, where my mind goes is through time. Okay? When we're feeling fearful, where am I? I'm in the future, based on the past, and extrapolating these huge overgeneralities, that always, never kind of thinking. Where when I'm feeling peaceful, where is my focus? I'm in the present. So the fear and peace are time issues. All right, so where we got hung up was that when we couldn't deal with our emotions, we needed to find a way to compensate. And it goes in those very predictable directions, and there's 4 of them. When I feel sadness, and I don't deal with the sadness, I do 4 things. I either going to feel unworthy, I'm going to feel bad and unlovable, I'm going to depend on others. You tell me I'm okay, I don't know, so I'll do whatever you want because I want you to tell me I'm okay. We make negative judgments about ourselves. I'm not okay, oh, I'm such a jerk, oh, I do this and that. And we're passive. That's that little hopeless, helpless, I can't do anything. So these are ways that we don't honor ourselves when it really just indicates we've got all this sadness that we really need to be expressing constructively. All right, so those go for ourselves. Those are the 4 core attitudes. And for anger, again, we're focused out there, and the big concept with anger, it's an acceptance issue. I don't accept people and things the way they are. I don't believe it. He shouldn't be like that. It's those shoulds that you're not okay because I'm going to make judgments. You shouldn't be like that, and you're bad. You're wrong. You're not okay for thinking, doing what you're doing. And the last thing we do when we have that anger is that we start to get that, stubborn little kid, like I'm the center of the universe and do it my way and I'm going to have a little fit. Maybe we pull away. All right, I'm going to take my toys and go home. Or we strike out. It's like, well, do it my way and this is the way. That's the kind of things that we do, and it all just shows or tells me that what the person's really going on for them is they have unexpressed anger. That's the way they've learned to compensate. And for fear, again, as I said, it's a time issue. So I'm in the future, all those what ifs, based on the past, or maybe I'm like stuck in the past. I'm overgeneralizing, I'm bringing everything in, what I say, lumping and jumping. And I lose sight of what's true or real. So say, oh, I want to lose 10 pounds for the holidays. So that's all cool, that's the reality. And then what happens? Oh, the donut tray comes flying by. And all of a sudden, I forget that I wanted to lose 10 pounds, and I'm eating, and I'm eating them fast, because that agitated energy, when all those addictions that we have, we're doing them fast, because that's a point that addictions really have our unexpressed emotions, and based in that fear, we don't do our addictions, whatever they are, calm and relaxed. We do it from a agitated kind of space. And the last thing we do when we have fear is we attempt to control. Like, if I can just get everything to stay in its proper place, then I won't feel this fear. That's the fantasy that we have. So those are all the problems, I think, that regardless of what the issues that people have, they all come back to these. Unless they have specific events. Oh, I'm sad about this happening. Great. But all of the crummy ways that we think that we sabotage ourselves and take us away from joy, love, and peace all filter back to these 12 core attitudes. Now, the good news is that there are, because everything's an opposite, there are 12 core constructive attitudes. 4 with joy, 4 with love, and 4 with peace. So again, it's like, hey, you want to win the grand prize? All you have to do is start to embody these concepts here. And what I didn't say, and I should have, is on that handout that you received. Oh, and I will go back here just one shot. That on this handout, it really has a summary of the kind of things that I'm talking about. Because that you'll find these lists of these core attitudes are down here at the bottom. And not only that, but you might see on this handout on one side, there's what I call the quick questionnaire. And the quick questionnaire really is those 12 core attitudes. And you can rate yourself on them, and it will tell you what your most dominant emotion is that's causing you trouble, and which particular attitudes are not serving you well. So, but I was talking about the good news, and that is, for joy, we feel good. We feel good about ourselves. We appreciate ourselves. We can take action and speak up. With love, we feel open-hearted. We accept. And it's not acceptance that's passivity. It's I accept, and now what do I need to do about it? We also appreciate and respect what people and things are doing, and we give. The ultimate expression of love is giving, selfless giving, not for some kind of return, but just for the joy of sharing. And for peace, we feel peace when we are in the present, when we're staying specific. And one of my lines with clients, especially couples, but with everybody, is that we should, and I often threaten, all right, now the guy who's going to give tattoos is coming soon, and he's going to write on everybody's arm I's and specifics, which are 2 of the 4 communication rules. But this concept of specifics is so important. We use specifics in engineering, in architecture, in medicine, in cooking, directions, basically everything is in specifics, but nobody told us to communicate in specifics and to think in specifics. But this was what will help to bring peace. We're not dealing with these size problems, we're dealing with just one thing in front of me, one thing at a time. And the last thing when we feel peace is that we're more witnessing. We're participating, but we're observing and we're enjoying what is. So these are the concepts that we want to embody. And what I want to do is just sort of show you, it's not just these mental concepts that we've done, that we all have, but I find, and this is just everybody in every culture, you see the 6 emotions: sadness, anger, and fear, joy, love, and peace. Everything's in opposites. So we feel certain kind of things when we feel fear. And I didn't make that distinction, but emotions are just that pure energy, whereas feelings are what we're thinking about what's happening in this situation. Oh, and now I feel frustrated because my car wouldn't start. It's about things where we brought the mind into it. We're not just into the body. But so this will give you some idea of different feelings. It's the full range of feelings that we feel that are associated with each of the attitudes and with the emotions. These are some of our thoughts and some of our words. And these are our actions. This is what we might say and do, mostly do. So it's really sort of spiffy because you can identify, where am I over here? And I just have to start doing these things instead, because those are the things that will contradict our old ways and bring more what we're looking for, which is that joy, love, and peace. So the question is, we know we got this stuff going on. Anybody relate to any of those, right? You sort of know what we're talking about. Everybody's got the same kind of problems. It's sort of cool. It is cool, actually, because it's not that complicated. All right. So what the good news is that we have what I call 5 tools, 5 ways that well, it goes like this. We have 5 senses. Help me with this. I always end up with 4. Sight, hearing, sight, smell, touch, and taste. Right? Everybody we know we have an idea about what those are. Right? We have senses, and what the senses do is they take information in. It comes in through the senses, but we also, I've discovered, is that we have 5 ways. What are we going to do with that information? How are we going to act about what comes in? And we have 5 ways we can act. We can have an emotional reaction. We can have thoughts about what's happening. We can have an intuitive hit about what's happening. We can talk about what's happening, or we can behave. It might cause us to do something different. So let's say we won the lottery, okay? And let's see, what emotion? I'm probably going to feel a little bit of joy, I would guess. I would call that good news. So I'm going to have that feeling inside of my body. I'm going to think things like, all right, going to pay off my mortgage, going to pay off my debts, going to buy that boat, going to buy that house in the wherever. Who would want to live anywhere else besides Santa Barbara? But maybe you want a second house in the mountains or something. All right, I'm going to do all those things. And we can have an intuitive hit. And the intuition might say, calm down, hold on, just a little bit, just wait. Or we can have a verbal reaction. Oh, I'm going to call all my friends. I can't wait to tell everybody, blah, blah, blah. But that's what we're going to do with that information. Or we go into action. We do all of those things. The action might be, oh, I think I'll order that boat. I've been, looking at it for a long time, and I'm going to buy that boat. So we have these 5 tools. But the problem was, again, nobody told us. I blame it on that nobody told us how to use these very well. So we're sort of using them in a lame kind of way. They're really ways that are influenced by our unexpressed sadness, anger, and fear. Those 3 emotions are behind all those bad attitudes that we have. And the good news is we can use any of those tools to move out of those destructive attitudes and bring more joy, love, and peace. All right. So, woo, scary. All right. So, What I'm going to do today is I'm really going to just talk about our emotions and how to deal with the emotions. That seems very relevant to the healthcare profession that we're in. And our thoughts, because the two of those are just really intimately connected. As you can see, they're all connected, but our emotions and thoughts. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. And the thing to remember, as I said, they're just energy. Sadness, anger, and fear are just pure energy in the body. Okay, so I'm going to start with fear. I always call this fear because we all have a ton of it. Right? We naturally feel fear for two reasons. One is that I have my survival, I think my survival is threatened, and that makes me feel that fear. Or I have been thinking, because I had some fear, I've been thinking over and over, oh, I've got to be in control, and that will create more fear. Or, oh, I've got so much to do, and then we're creating our own bucket, we're making our bucket of fear even bigger. So we have this emotion of fear, and it doesn't matter how it manifests. We can feel anxious, we can have panic attacks, we can feel indecisive, we can't think, we can do a lot of worrying. All of those, the energy behind it is all the same. It's that agitation, it's fear. Okay? So we have a ton of fear, and like not sleeping at night, basically, that's fear-based as well. So we naturally have this emotion, and instead of reverting to those attitudes that don't serve us very well, we need to start dealing with that fear physically, because it's just like natural. When you think of what happens when a dog is at the vet, right? Can you just imagine that dog? And it's huddled in the corner, and it's going like that. Right, peeing in the corner. Those are indications that it's got a lot of fear. But what happens? It does that, and then once you're out of the office, it's bounding around and everything's cool, right? The same thing with, it could be, let's see, where do I want to go here? Let me take a look here, all right? Let's see here. I had a couple other examples here that I wanted to do. Oh, yes. Like being in a deep freeze. What does the body naturally do? It naturally does that agitation. It's the shaking and shivering and quivering and trembling. And, you know, I have been counseling some people from LA who were in the movie business, and they told me that they were taught in acting class to shake and shiver. And it makes so much sense. Move that energy out, and then you can read your lines. You can memorize your lines a whole lot more. So we need to start becoming, what I say, shaking fools, shivering fools, and just let that energy out of our body. The most important thing is while we're doing it is what we're thinking and saying. Because I'm not going to think, oh my gosh, I'll never fix this, oh my. If I do that, then I'm only making my fear more and more. But if I own it, okay, I'm just scared, all right, I just need to shake and shiver, then I'm going to have it move through my body really, really quickly. It's like swimmers do. We don't put them down for shaking and shivering, right? That's what they're really doing. They're loosening everything up, all the muscles and everything, because it's tightened up. I think that's how we get ourselves in trouble. We've tightened, rather than let that energy move through ourselves. So I say we got to become big shakers and shivers, and especially because I've got to tell you that, you know, I do a lot of teaching, but for some reason I started to get really nervous a couple of days ago, and now that's a fear thing. And I found that I was waking up these last couple mornings at like 4 in the morning. It's like, oh my gosh. So I better practice what I preach. So I get out of bed, go and pee, and then I shook and shivered like for a couple of minutes, like that, making sounds, because there's just sounds there. You know, just hammed it up, and literally I went back to sleep in less than 5 minutes. I just like my head hit the pillow, but my mind was now calm. I wasn't obsessing, oh, I better add that line here, and oh, I need a little bit more of this. My mind was free, my body was calm, and I went back to sleep. So it really works. And I was just talking with a colleague of mine who was telling me about a patient of hers who was given the assignment to do some shivering while she was driving, and then came back and said, all right, it really works. Right? It's like it seems weird, but if you try it, you'll find that it really, really helps. And the most important thing, like I said, is what we're thinking. So we're really just parking our mind because it's just the energy in our body. So if we have to say anything, we just say or think, ooh, I'm just scared. Oh, it's okay, I'm just scared, I'm scared. I'm not going into all the worst case scenarios. So it's that kind of thinking and moving the energy. All right, because it's just energy. So does that make sense? All right, so everybody stand up. We're going to do some shaking and shivering. Now, one of the things is I know it can seem really embarrassing. This is really stupid. This won't work. Wah, 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 wah. But it's like, I don't have anything to lose. I've got fear. Maybe I can just get this little tool that might serve me well. So think about something that's scary. You have to take a test, or you have to, could be you're in an accident 5 years ago, or it doesn't matter what it is. Think of something scary, and then allow yourself to shake and shiver. Up the spine, out the arms. Woo! Make some noise. Woo! Yeah! Woo! Yeah! Yeah! Woo! All right, how's that? Does it feel good? I mean, we're so used to tightening in, right? Okay, are you ready? We're going to do it again. Don't sit down. Absolutely not. Because I'd like you to have that experience so that you can see that it really works. All right, so we're going to do it again, all right? Think of that scary thing. Think, whoo, 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 whoo. Woo, I just need to get this out of my body. Woo, yeek. Ah. Shake it out. Come on, shake it out. Woo, woo, ah. Woo. Ah. Okay, anybody feeling any better? Any different? Yes. Yeah, you know, it's so little to do so much. All right, we're going to do it one more time so that you can really get how powerful and simple this tool is. And it doesn't matter what your physical, you can always shake something. You know, you have a bad back, you can shake something. Yeah, shake it for a bit. Just got to move it, and you'll find that your body is looking to do that. So it will start to take over. Right now, we just want to move that energy. All right, ready? Let's do it again. Just scary. Oh, I just need to get all this out of me. Why am I carrying this around? Get it out. Okay, now have a seat and close your eyes for just a second. Yeah, close your eyes. See how you feel. All right. Anybody want to share what happened? How was that for them? Anybody got a experience yet?
Well, I feel much warmer, which put me in this present moment. Like I'm more aware of where my feet are, my hands are warmer after moving, and that puts me in this present moment.
Beautiful.
Well,
Got to do this, got to do that. But that's exactly it, because that fears that cold, and it warm us up. Anybody else? Yeah.
So it felt like it broke a link with the object of my fear and almost trivialized it in a good way.
That's fabulous, because it doesn't matter what my current focus is, whether it's a health issue or money issue, a family issue. Those are just things that the mind attaches to, but underneath it is just that energy. So that's fabulous. Break that link, a beautiful way to describe that, because it's just energy I've got to move out of my body. Yeah, you have something? Mm-hmm.
I just was going to say, I had a collie dog that was paraplegic, And I had to express her bladder every 4 hours for 6 years. And I always did it with such a loving, compassionate atmosphere. And once I was in an incredible rush, and I came and I put her on the bed, and I was so abrupt, her teeth started chattering. In an uncontrollable way, her teeth were chattering, this shivering. Her body couldn't move, but her teeth were chattering. Just now, as we were shivering, I was trying to chatter my teeth at the same time.
Fabulous, because it's all that we're holding it everywhere. And that's beautiful, because that's the natural response that the body wants to make. I'm not, this is what I really learned from my father and so on. It's that naturalistic approach. It's not hocus pocus. We're doing what we just see in nature.
Obviously no verbal, no thoughts, just the automatic, visceral body response to fear.
Perfect. That's perfect. So it's a fabulous thing to do. When you have something that's high pressure, that's causing you angst, you have to make a phone call, shake and shiver for a minute. You find yourself going really fast, hyperspeed, stop for a second, and it's not take deep breathing. That's not what the body naturally wants to do, like meditation. And those are wonderful activities, but we're talking about moving this energy out. So to just take that minute while you're driving, or just, be careful, but to just moving that energy out of the body will leave much more room for clarity and for present time awareness. So that's one. Everybody now can become a shaken fool. All right, so here's the second emotion. This is what we usually do with our anger, right? It's your fault. You. That's why I said I's and specifics. Forget the youing stuff. Just causes separation, and that's what anger does. It makes it you versus me. But we can feel rightfully angry with, as I said, violations and injustices. Naturally evoke that emotion. But we need to get it out of our body in that same way so that we don't start doing stuff like that. Because most of us have developed pretty funky ways. Half of you probably, how many people take your anger and just turn it inside, and I'm not just going to put a little bit wall between there, but I'm not going to say anything. How many are that? I'm going to stuff the anger, right? And then the other one is, no, I'm going to strike out. You do. I'm going to say some mean things. You got some people who, of course, right? That's what we do with our anger, either of those things, rather than just moving it out of the body. So it can seem really uncomfortable to think about expressing anger. Like if you had a parent who was a rager, you might have made a decision a long time. There's no way I am going to ever show any anger at all. Right? Now, this isn't so helpful when you're dealing with clients or you're dealing with patients and those that you serve, because they're going to have a lot of emotions. And what we have to do is give ourselves permission to move that energy out. So we're not going to do it in a way that's going to harm anything of value. That's what's different. So if so it's not like, oh, I'm going to become, terrible like my spouse is, and I don't want to do that. It's like, no, I'm just going to give myself permission to move that energy out of my body. Now, this is what, let's see, yeah, that's good, getting the anger out. Okay. But I think you can see that all right. This is a picture of my fireplace. Okay, and what you see in there are pieces of old telephone books. So this is something that I learned a long time ago from Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, with the death and dying lady. So when I was at a week-long workshop, and she had mattresses that she put out, and then put these old phone books on top of them, and then gave people a hose that looks something like this. It's got to be flexible hose, because it's going to take the impact. It's not wanting to do damage to yourself. So I have clients, it's like, and if there's two of them, if there's a couple, it's like, hey, here's 2 piles of phone books, because you can't help but be angry in relationships. There's just, having 2 people and two different opinions. It's going to bring up anger, absolutely. But so anyway, what I have clients do, I very ceremoniously take up the phone books, put a big pile in the middle of my living room, and give them a hose, and they just go pounding away. And so I'm over there coaching them, come on, you can do it. And then we just throw them into the fireplace. But it's such a good way to get the energy out, because the words that go with anger are hard, fast, and with abandon, right? It's not, I'm so angry, I'm so angry. No, it's like, oh, I'm so angry. You know, because you can do, as I'm going to talk to you about, we can do a lot of ways where we're just moving energy. So even you can get a hose like this, because these are so good and available at Home Improvement Center. And you, or you can push against something like move. Is the wall going to move? Just moving energy. Or in a door jam, you can have your back on one side and the other, and push against that. Or I tell people you can use hinge anger. So you can go into the bathroom when you're in your office or something, and now you're really frustrated. Take the door, the hinge of the stall, and shake it up. And you're not going to break anything, but you're going to feel so much better. Then you can go trotting back out. Now, what were you saying, and what problem do we need to solve? Because you're not getting snotty, and you're not getting belligerent. You're just moving that energy out of the body. And so I say we all need to have a really good way to move that energy. And I really recommend these phone books and a hose, just fabulous. You can also sometimes, like for families or nice strong guys, like go get a heavy bag, you know, those ones that are long, and again, hit it with something like this. Because, you know, it's not like I'm Muhammad Ali and I'm going to, you know, it's like I am just wailing and moving that energy out of my body. You know, I feel so much better. Okay, so we all need to find a place. It can be in a bathroom, it can be in the back bedroom, it can be in the garage. Your car is a fabulous place to get that energy out. One is you can, not while you're driving, grab the steering wheel, because that's not going to break, and shake it. Making some sounds. It's like, doesn't take very long. Okay, now I'm ready to drive home. All right, because you've moved that energy. Or you're in the car, you can also take your hand and hit the seat next to you. But we just all need to find a way to move that energy out. So one nice civil way to do it is to stomp, right? Stomping around. So again, what's really important is what we're thinking while we're moving that energy. It's just energy. It's okay, it's just anger. It's all right, I'm just feeling angry. I'm not going, you son of a gun, and how could you? That's only going to make me feel more and more angry. And a lot of the studies that they did with this primal screen and so on, they say, oh, well, anger doesn't work to release it, but that's because they weren't checking about what the person was thinking and saying. If you think and say awful things, you're going to still be angry afterwards. But if you just own it as yours, because you're the one that's feeling that sensation, I just need to get this out of my body. Okay, so that's what you want to be thinking while you're moving that energy. I'm just pissed. I feel so mad. Okay, so those are the kind of things. And what we're going to do, so I like you to all stand up again, is now we're going to stomp. Because we just, again, there's so much embarrassment about doing this kind of thing, that we just have that, oh, I couldn't possibly, you know, oh, it's not cool. Where we just have to go through that, and hopefully you'll see that it works, and that will encourage you to do it. All right? So again, think of something you're pissed off about, right? I have to buy 20 presents and blah, 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 or the traffic, or whatever it is. Think about something that really feels angry, that you feel angry about, and then we're all just going to stomp. All right? Ready? Oh! Oh! Make some sound. Oh! 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 How's that feel? Doesn't it feel good? I mean, we're so locked in. We're so much like, I've got to hold it all in. I've got to be cool. I've got to be civil. It's like, no, I just need to take myself someplace safe and move that energy. And just like with fear, you can laugh. That's cool. That's just part of releasing it. There's no words there. All right? Let's try it again. Ready? Feels good? Again, you mobilize just a little bit. Yeah? Want to try it one more time? Did I hear a yes? All right. Once more, just a few minutes. We've got to get some of that energy out of our body and see how great it feels. Ready? I'm just pissed. Yeah, exactly. Rather than kicking somebody or kicking the dog, do something inanimate where you're just moving energy. All right, sit down for a second. Close your eyes. Okay. Anybody have anything to share about how that was for him? A little embarrassing? Anybody embarrassed? Seems a little silly? Yeah, of course. It does until we get used to it. Anybody feel?
What's the cultural impact in this expressing your feelings or anger or your emotions?
Well, I think that we have to be pioneers and start to give ourselves and take us into a safe place. You know, melt down in an inappropriate place, but to go to a safe place and move that energy out. Because I think that we see the impact in the emergency room, in the news, of people not getting their anger out. And it's just that we let little kids have that tantrum, but we learned that we couldn't.
There's no cultural link with expressing emotion.
Well, in some cultures, different emotions are a little bit more legitimate. Like if you're in Italy, it's maybe you're in South America, it's a little bit more okay to cry. And others, they get that anger out, but maybe it's, they yell and argue with it. So each culture is a little bit different, but they're all dealing with those same emotions, and we just need to get them out without destroying things of value. That's the whole point. We do so much damage. I mean, all this war and killing and meanness, all really is a lot of unexpressed anger. All right, so we only have one more emotion, and that is sadness, right? Natural to feel sadness, right? Hurts and losses, it's okay, right? But a lot of times what happens is we, with the people we serve, we have, don't cry. Then we pat them on the back. Okay, all right, distract, rather than going, go for it. Be like that little kid. The little kid has the emotion, cries, and then they fall asleep, or they start to get distracted and play with something else. But the energy moves through them if we don't stop them. So I say, because it's true, that tears are nectar. They really just purify, they wash us clean. And we need to give ourselves permission to do it. But while we're doing it, we either can think about what we're sad about, or we just, again, we own it as ours. I just feel sad, I'm okay. I just need to cry, I'm okay, I'm all right. I just need to cry. So if we do it in that way, then we aren't going to be sad and cry for hours and hours. It will move through us. Okay? Does that make sense? But we just have to do it. Yeah, we just have to do it. And if you have a hard time, some people, the sadness has been so cut off that we just have, I'm going to be weak if I cry, and we have all these messages that people haven't cried in years and years. we need to sort of prime the pump, because like this gal was saying, it doesn't really matter why we're sad or why we're angry or why we're afraid. We just need to move that energy out. And so, but you can think of like, go get The Notebook, or isn't that a real schmaltzy kind of sad kind of movie, you know, Terms of Endearment, or some movie that really stirs you, or music, or look at pictures of loved ones, any way to prime the pump to allow yourself to start to cry. You have that good cry, you just feel clean. It really, really works to give ourselves permission. But this is the whole thing. We just need to not think, oh, I've got to tighten up. I can release that emotion. Okay, so, did I tell you the good news is we're not going to all cry here for a few seconds? All right, so, but you get the idea. Crying is good, crying is good for ourselves. All right, so that really says, because we only have those three energies that we have to work with: sadness, anger, and fear. It's not complicated. It's not rocket science. Three energies in the body in order to feel the other three emotions: joy, love, and peace. So that's sort of a summary of how to deal with the emotions. And now I want to talk just real briefly, because they're so connected, about our negative thoughts. Because, you know, we think that, oh, I'm the only one that's thinking this way. You know what? It's not true. I kept hearing in sessions the same stuff over and over and over again from client after client. Because, again, we just have those 12 attitudes, and everything pours into those. So what happens is that we have developed those bad attitudes, and it manifests in how we talk and how we act and how we don't use our intuition and how we think. And so we might be entertaining thoughts like this, you know, and how many times have we said these thoughts to ourselves? You know, oh, I'm fat. You know, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Oh, that person's an idiot. And, you know, we just have those kind of tapes that we just have said so many times. It's the framework that we've had rather than expressing what our emotions were. But those things are not bringing joy, love, and peace, right? These are not doing well for us. So the idea is, how are we going to replace them? What are we going to do to get rid of these thoughts? You think, I'll never get rid of them. I've had them forever, and blah, blah, blah. Well, it isn't true. Say it ain't true, it ain't true. We can use two things to change our thoughts. One, we need a truth, a reliable truth. And the other thing we need is a way to internalize that truth. So let's look at both of these elements. Again, this came from listening to so many people, and we look for that opposites. If a person says, I'm unlovable, if that's their core tape, well, what's the opposite? What's really that's true? I'm whole and complete, I'm a good person, whatever. But the reliable truth has to be unequivocally true. So it's not an affirmation. An affirmation is, I feel peace and love all around me. Not if I'm a raging, not very pleasant person. That's not going to take me very far, right? What we need are statements that are absolutely true and real, and a technique to internalize them. So, on this same old handout that has so much crammed into a small space, if you look on the other side of it, what you'll see is a lot of these reliable truths. So these have been culled from clients over the years, and these will help with offsetting the sadness, bringing more joy, and honoring yourself. So these kind of truths are really good. They're universal. They're really good about ourselves. These kind of thoughts will help us move from anger to love. And this has got one of the all-time best ones. Comes from this fellow, Dr. Albert Ellis, who figured this out a long time ago. People and things are the way they are, not the way I want them to be. People and things are the way they are, not the way I want them to be. Now that's really powerful and really contradicts the idea they should be different, and that they should do it my way. So in this one statement, you're really contradicting a lot of our anger, unexpressed anger thoughts. But anyway, there's a whole group of them. These are some real popular ones. And then there's some truths to stay present and specific and to move from fear to peace. And there's some. So I would like you to just, on the back side of this, take a look at some of these truths that you can see. And what I'd like you to do is just pick one or two of them from each category. Like, let's start with the fear. Like, pick one of those, pick two of those, and write it down here next to fear, peace, truths about time. What's going to help me? What's going to offset my old thinking that I've thought so many times? Oh, there's not enough time. Oh my gosh, if I don't do it, it won't get done. All that old thinking, what's going to contradict that? What's one or two of these bottom truths that will contradict my old thinking? And write them down here, just one or two. You can't try to internalize too much stuff at one time. The brain just doesn't take it in. So pick one or two from that bottom category, and then one or two from the middle category, and one or two from the top. Write them down on your paper. Right there on the reliable truths. Yeah.
Could you give a couple of examples of specifics, stay specific?
What it means? It means that when I'm talking, something happens, right, with my partner or my spouse, and something happens, and rather than going, you're always like that, you never take out the trash, and you're not doing everything that you should, that's being real general. And being specific means, hey, you said you would take out the trash right now, and you haven't taken it out. So I'm not bringing in that, because we can deal with all the other topics, but one at a time. Stay specific means we'll deal with one topic at a time. And specifics is also important, one, to identify what the topic is that we're talking about, but also to figure out what the consequences are, what the boundaries are. It's not like, you'll be in trouble. Now this is what's going to happen if this doesn't occur. Nice and specific. So the more that we're in specifics, the more I can understand you. It really increases understanding, because this is what we're talking about. So that's stay specific, one thing at a time. Okay, has everybody got at least one or two truths written down? All right, so we got truths, and now we need a way to internalize it. And we can internalize a reliable truth by, it really is like meditation, by repeating it over and over again. And when all the discounting thoughts come up, we don't pay attention. It's like with meditation. We don't pay attention to, oh, I hear that sound over here, and oh, now I'm thinking about what's for dinner. What we do is we stay focused on what we're trying to internalize. So if it's a mantra, we stay with that. But these reliable truths are really like mantras, so I'm going to just repeat it over and over and stay focused on it. And when my mind goes out there in all those places, I'm going to bring it back to whatever truth that I'm repeating over and over and over and over. So you can do this both as a silent activity, but it's a lot more powerful to power out loud, because not only do you voice and put those words out into the atmosphere, but you can hear yourself saying it. So it's more powerful than just, okay, I'm whole and complete, I'm whole and complete, I'm whole and complete. So, but it's that intense, and when you go, oh, no, you're not, that's stupid, oh, this won't work. You go, no, I'm whole and complete. I'm whole and complete, or my job's to take care of myself. My job's to take care of myself. We just stay focused on that. Okay, does that make sense? All right, so grab one truth that you wrote down for yourself, just one. And what you're going to hear is everybody else saying their truth, but that doesn't make any difference because you're focused on yours with intensity. It's like, I really want to get it. I really want to understand what I'm saying. People and things are the way they are, not the way I want them to be. Okay? So we're going to just pick one. You'll hear other people saying others, but it doesn't matter. So one truth over and over. When the other thoughts come up, don't pay attention. Keep focused on it. All right? Ready? Go. Out loud. People and things are the way they are, not the way I want them to be. People and things are the way they are, not the way I want them to be. People and things are the way they are, not the way I want them to be. People and things are the way they are, not the way I want them to be. All right, how was that? Yeah? Liking it a little bit? Yeah? A little new foreign concept? No? Works good? I mean, you can feel it? Anybody feel that in their body a little bit? Can feel the effect of what you're saying? Yeah. All right, let's try it again. Say the same truth, and let's hear a little bit more vigor, a little bit more, I really want to get this. All right? You can use, I'd say use the same truth. You can use another one. If you heard another one, it's like, ooh, that sounds pretty good. It's like you can use theirs as well. But just one over and over again. All right, let's try it again. Ready, go. People are there. Good. My job is to take care of myself. Excellent. My job is to take care of myself. 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 All right? Starts to make you feel good, right? Yeah? Anybody starting to get it? Sometimes you can have what I call a divine shift, where it's like, oh, I was thinking that, oh, holy smokes. My job is to take care of myself. Oh, okay, I don't have to, what do I need to do here? Anybody have a shift? Like, I sort of got what I was saying? Yeah? Not yet? Okay, well, we're going to have to try it one more time then. All right? Same truth over and over. I say 100,000 reps going to take because you've thought the opposite so long, so often. All right? One last time. Ready? People and things are the way they are, not the way I want them to be. People and things are the way they are, not the way I want them to be. People and things are the way they are, not the way I want them to be. People and things are the way they are, not the way I want them to be. People and things are the way they are. Okay? Close your eyes for a second. See how it feels. Okay, how do you feel? How was that for you? Anybody got something to say? Does it make sense? We have to do it. And you want to say something, Ashley? Did you?
I just noticed that focusing on one of the truths, you sort of start to notice a lot of the other truths as well coming out.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're just thoughts that we need to embed in our consciousness if we want more joy, love, and peace, which we do, and so on. And you can find as you start to think these truths that they can bring up emotions. It's like they shouldn't be like that. Well, people and things are the way they are. Not, but you just keep thinking it and let the emotion fly out through you. Sometimes people are pounding on the phone books and they're going, people are the way they are, not the way I want. Husband is the way he is, not the way I want him to be. It's like, it feels so good. I'm not going, he's an idiot. I'm going, he's not the way I want him to be. I got to get it. Right? So we just have to think these over and over again. So for powering this technique, as I said, we're going to have to do it over and over. And that's why you need a couple of truths in each category. Because if I'm thinking a fear kind of thought, then I need a fear truth. And if I'm thinking an anger kind, if I'm feeling angry in my body, I need an anger truth. And if I'm feeling sad, I need something about myself. So we're going to try to look for the opposite of what our old thinking is. And that's what's going to be more effective at that moment. So you can power in a lot of different ways. You can power as a solo activity like we did here. Or you can power and do it 11 times or 2 minutes or 5 times 2 minutes or whatever. And feel that effect and storing up that truth, installing it in the body. Or we can do it while we're doing other activities. I always say power in the shower. Or power while you're driving your car. Look what you're saying. Or while you're exercising. Fabulous time to take a statement and run it over and over and over and over rather than that other kind of stuff. That we just have to get these thoughts to be in there, because then when you need them, you'll find it's sort of like, oh, I'm hearing that, one thing at a time, one thing at a time, one thing. And they'll start to pop up naturally after we've done our work of practicing to get them in there. So over and over. You can also say when you notice that you're thinking funky thoughts, what's going to be more helpful? Let me find a truth that combats that, and then repeat that over and over. So I suggest that you find a truth. You can either put this on your refrigerator, on your put it on 3x5 cards, put a couple truths, put them on the mirror in the bathroom, or in your car, or in your day timer, or put it on the wallpaper of your smartphone, or on your screensaver. These are the kind of thoughts that if I want to feel more joy, love, and peace, these are the kind of thoughts that I need to be entertaining. So here, I thought this one was perfect for the holidays. What we want is more joy, love, and peace, and they're not just for the holidays. If we'll do these things, because that's what I really want to say in summary, if we just get that these emotions, these 6 emotions, are just energy, and if we just move the sadness, anger, and fear out of our body, we will have so much more space for joy, love, and peace. So one is, it's just energy. These emotions are just energy that I have to get out of my body. So I say also with those people you're working with family members, give them permission to get their emotions out. It's not like we want to just do it ourselves, but somebody's crying, let them cry, or trembling, let them tremble. Okay, so that's the first thing, and I believe that every prison, every hospital, every school needs a place where people can go and move their emotions. Like I think it'd be great for Cottage Hospital. Get a little room there somewhere. It's just like you have a chapel, right? Got to have a room where you can go and safely move those emotions out of your body without disrupting everybody. All right, so that's one thing. Just the energy, got to move it out of the body. Also, that we have a choice about what we think. So this is the second point. I can think crummy thoughts, or I can think thoughts that are going to be helpful. And you choose, and you just have to substitute them in. And the third point is that you can't help but feel more joy, love, and peace if you just practice. All right. So, so I have a couple things before I say fond adieu, and that is, one is that I do have, and you'll see it on the handout, on I have a website, which is www.attitudereconstruction, which is the name of this whole system, and there you can download the blueprint that I showed you if you want, and there's a lot of articles, and you can get some interpretation for your quick questionnaire about what it means. I also I have a book, as Craig said, and we have a few of them over here. If people would like a book, we're selling them for $15, usually $16.95 plus tax, but I'll take care of the tax for $15. Great Christmas presents, of course. And as I mentioned, I do teach through adult ed, and it's a CEU class. So if you're interested in learning about how this whole theory and get more joy, love, and peace in our communication, I'd suggest, I think it's May or something, that'll be the next class. And get yourself 6 units, spend a Saturday learning how to communicate. So again, thank you so much, and I'm willing to take some questions.